I'm going to show you how to create a flat felled seam using only 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now, normally when you create a flat felled seam, you want to use a 5/8 seam allowance, but if for whatever reason the fabric's already cut or whatever happens and you just decide you want a flat felled seam, this is an easy way to do that. So the first thing we want to decide is which is the right side and which is the wrong sides of our fabric. So I'm just going to mark here what is the wrong sides, just with an X, just so I am clear. So the first thing you want to do is you want to sew your wrong sides together, which goes against what you generally have learned in sewing, where you put right sides together. But for this purpose, we are going to do this wrong sides together. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch a line at 1/2 inch. So the first step is to line up our fabric with our 1/2 inch line on our sewing machine and stitch all the way down. And the next thing we're going to want to do is press this open. So we have our fabric stitched at 1/2 inch, and I'm going to press this open, first with my fingers and then with a hot iron. The next thing with the flat felled is you want to choose one side, or one seam or the other, and we're going to trim it down to about 1/4, 1/8 of an inch, somewhere around there. So I'm going to just choose the left side, and I'm going to cut that down. Now the idea here is that we're going to wrap this seam around, or this extra bit of seam allowance around this seam here and sort of encapsulate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to press this seam back closed. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold this part of the seam allowance all the way to our seam line. You can see here. So I'm going to fold that over, press it quick with my hands, and I'm going to come by with the iron and press it again. Now you have that encased in there. We're going to flip that seam over this direction. Now the next step is to sew along this edge to keep everything in place. Okay, so now we have the seam pressed and ready to stitch. So I'm bringing it over here to the machine, lowering the presser foot. I want to make sure that the needle is going to hit right along the edge here. So I have this lined up with the inside of my presser foot. And I'm going to stitch. And there you have it. Super easy flat felled stitch. This looks great on sportswear, denim, anything like that. And you actually have a nice seam on the inside too. So everything is nice and clean.